Yes, absolutely. So it looks like we are live. We are going to wait for the connection to come through here shortly. It should come through in the next second or so. Very, very excited. Welcome to our Facebook Live. It looks like we are on. We are live. I could see it on my end now. There we go. Very cool. Very cool. All right. It is 1 o'clock Pacific time. It's 4 o'clock your time, Robert. And very, very excited to be here with all of you that are tuning in. We're just going to give it another minute just to allow everybody to tune in. And while we wait, Robert, thank you so much for being here, man. Really, truly appreciate the
Leo,
opportunity.
thanks for
Your
having
time.
me. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
This has been one hell of a year.
Absolutely, man. I mean, talk about that, man. It's a 40 homes sold. You served 40 families this year. You hit icon, which is amazing. You've been in the business a short amount of time. Obviously, you've been in business many years, but I think that's where we're going to get started up. I want you to take us back to your story. Tell me that way everybody gets connected to you.
Sure. So for the last 29 years prior to becoming a real estate agent, I worked in finance, managed money, hedge funds, really doing a ton of work with qualified people all over the United States, working for big firms such as Morgan Stanley. I worked for Gordon Getty, a nice, delightful billionaire out of San Francisco, had an office up there. I was able to work all over the country, covered the islands, did some work over in Europe, and was able to do quite a bit of substantial work on the hedge fund side. And it really built up a great following of people that I've worked with since then and helped over the last 4 years since I've been an agent. And then towards the end, it was getting to the point. I'd spoke at the UN about 4 years ago, and we were selling a affordable housing hedge fund. And after that, I was getting tired of carrying the bag, as we called it, for wholesaling. And I came home, and my wife said to me, "You know what, Rob?" She goes, "Why don't you sell houses?" I was like, I'm not a realtor." And she said, "I'll pay for the class if you become a realtor, and you can work locally, because I've never worked within 2 hours of my home. I live out in northeastern PA, and the majority of my career was spent in New York City and then traveling everywhere in the world."
Wow.
So I took the class. 2 weeks into the class, I ended up teaching the 1031 exchange portion of it, because I had done about $2 billion in them in Delaware statutory trusts in the previous year. So I had a lot of background with that, really enjoyed that. And the gentleman teaching the class said, "I want you to come work for me." So unfortunately, he put me in a firm that really didn't have anybody working there. It was just me and my computer, and I didn't really know what to do. So it was time to move on. And a little over a year ago, I saw an ad for eXp. So not doing very much business in real estate, but saw an ad for eXp, had a call with you and with Neil Anders. And I got to tell you, it really changed everything. It changed my whole perspective on how this is done, because it made me look at things from the way I had done them in hedge fund world, the way I had done them in all the financial services, because it was a very collegiate atmosphere where you get to learn and you got to do and achieve a lot of stuff. And I was able to take what I had learned there and use it here. I mean, I've had I think great success since I've been with eXp, and I think I can double, triple what I've done going forward.
You're literally just scratching the surface, man. I mean, and just for those that are tuning in here live, Robert is in Pennsylvania. He sold 40 homes in 2022, hit icon. He was just sharing his story, and I mean, you've been in the business a very short amount of time, and you're absolutely been crushing it. So if you could share, because might be people out there obviously that are watching this that I'm like, how did you achieve that much success, man, in a short amount of time? And you were sharing, a lot of those things prior to us coming on live, but just kind of share some of those things. Like what are the things that Robert is doing to serve 40 families in 1 year? Right.
There's a couple things, and I talked to, one of the things that, Leo does is these Let's Grow every day. You see he posts and everything. And I'm one of those people that's committed to getting something accomplished every day, personally and professionally. So I saw the way the model was being done with real estate, where people you want to list a house and then you wait. And then after 3 months, if the house hasn't sold, you lower the price and then you wait some more. it doesn't work. You've got to go out there. You've got to market. You've got to go out. You've got to contact people. You've got to tell stories. The Kellogg School of Business from the University of Chicago, they said that the best way to learn is to learn through storytelling. So when I first moved here and started selling houses in the community that I'm in, I started taking pictures of the community, golf course pictures, the view pictures, ski slopes, and telling people, imagine what it would be like living here. Your husband's home cooking dinner, the wife's working hard at her computer downstairs, come upstairs, and you're able, even through all the COVID craziness that was going on, to have a regular life somewhere. And I would tell these stories, and I would get these phone calls from people saying, I want to buy a house there. And they would call me up and they would say, I put them up on Facebook. I put them on LinkedIn. I do a ton of marketing on LinkedIn. I've got about 3,000 followers, not followers, but people I have worked with in my previous life that are all looking for these opportunities. And I would put these stories up. And I've got a close friend who I used to work for, and he says to me all the time, I love reading your LinkedIn stuff. He goes, you're one of the few people I actually follow because you're not trying to sell anything. You're showing me a great house. You're telling me about the area. And it really just works. So I started doing a lot of marketing, Facebook, LinkedIn, just word of mouth, going everywhere. I don't go anywhere without speaking about real estate now. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing how it's a domino effect. The more you do, the more it comes back to you. The nicer you are to people, the more it comes back to you. When I work with people, if it doesn't work, I'll turn them away from a house and say, this isn't for you. Yeah. The honesty and the honesty, it really comes back to you when you're selling, because you could be one of those people who just pushes houses, and in the end, they're going to work with you once. Yes. I have a gentleman in here that I sold him a house. He came up, looked at a house. After we talked, I knew I had him because doing some nonverbal sales. He sat down on the couch while we were in the house looking at it, and I was like, "That's a sell." And we talked, we laughed, and he bought the house, and he loved the area. And he said, "This is a great house to come up on the weekend. I'd love a house in there sometime that I could come up and live in."
Yeah, wow.
A house came up for $800,000. I listed it, got both sides. He bought it for cash, and then I sold his other house that he had previously bought the same year. And I made him another $70,000 on that. So the opportunity's there. You just have to always be out there, always be working, always be engaging. And I think it's one of the most important things. That's one of the things I like about here. Since I've joined eXp, I've become a certified mentor. I've got my commercial license. I'm taking the reload classes starting this week because I think that's a really important thing. I live in an area where we've got industrial parks where people are moving in. We're expecting another 200,000 people in this area in the next few years. People need, executives need places to live. It's going to be my job to find them for them. I think that's an important part of what we should be doing. And with the markets changing, you have to be flowing with the market. So you got to understand, I still keep in touch with everybody I work with on the finance side because I want to see where prices are going in my area. I want to see, what the creep of people moving out of New York City out to here is. People moving out of New Jersey, people moving out of Philly, DC. I want to know what it is up here. I want to know where the market and the prices are going, so I keep ahead of that. And I'm able to price houses very well in here, or in this area. Price houses very well. In fact, I'm listing a house tonight. I just came from another $400,000 house up in a place called the Hideout. It's another resort community up in Lake Erie, Pennsylvania. And the people are really fantastic. And I'm going to find them a house close here to a family that they have here. So I'll get a sale there and I'll get a sale here. And it'll keep going. And their son was like, maybe you could help me. So what ends up happening is more and more it builds.
Yes. I love that, man. And I mean, I could tell, man, right away. I mean, your energy is on point and your intention is to serve. You're focusing on bringing value. You're focusing on, making sure that you have the expert advice, whether that be pricing on what's going to happen in the marketplace. And you're also plugging in. You're also becoming masterful at different aspects of the business, just so you can continue to obviously learn yourself, bring more value to your community. And I could see why your business is expanding. It's all revolving around that. And go ahead.
No, one of the things I want to do is I want to start sharing some of the things that I've done. I mean, I want to start sharing that with more people. My goal now is to start expanding my team. And one of the great things about eXp is it doesn't have to just be somebody sitting around me. It can be anyone in the United States. It can be anyone overseas. I know people in France. I know people in Germany, Portugal, London. These are areas. Turkey, eXp's got people. These are areas that we can expand in. And you know what? I know people in all these areas that I'm going to do my very best over the next year to help bring them in. And
Absolutely.
again, certified mentor, so that helps.
Yep.
I've got a young lady that's going to be joining us within the next few weeks. She's lieutenant colonel in the Army
Yep.
and loves this, loves the idea of the business. I sold her house, her and her husband, and she had such a good time. She said, could I do this? And we sat down and talked, and I said, you could do this.
You're
Not only
awesome.
could you do it, but you could be successful at it.
Yep.
And I think, and I think success breeds success. And I think we need to get more people who are just motivated to go above and beyond the old paradigms of just list and wait.
Yes, exactly. And you're inspiring people. I always, whenever I speak to anybody and I ask them like, hey, why did you get into real estate? I usually get two types of responses, and people say, oh, I had an amazing transaction with an amazing person and really inspired me to be in real estate. Or I get the second answer sometimes, oh, I work with an agent and they didn't do a really good job, and I felt like I did more than that agent, right? And what you did was inspire somebody. Obviously, you helped them to, buy a property and inspire them now, and now you can get on track and really serve them even a higher level.
Yep. I helped them rent their house that they were living in. They bought a house because they wanted to live in this community. She's got 3 great kids. The other thing is I spend enough time when I'm with people to get to know them. I know all her kids' names. Not just her. Like when I meet people, today the family I was with, they introduced me to their son. We got speaking about hockey. He found out that I'm the voice of Kings hockey. I do all the announcing at the home games.
No wonder
for
you
the
have
university
such a great
here.
voice. Wow. No wonder you have such a great voice. I was like, man.
And a lot of the girls, and actually a lot of the girls that I work with on the girls hockey team, I've talked to some of them and they want to become agents when they leave college. And I've said to them, listen, this is something you can, not only can you do, but it doesn't matter where you are, we'll be able to work together.
Exactly.
Again, eXp, it's not a boutique. And I've tried to explain that to other people, that when you're working with a group that's not a boutique, you have that ability and to share also. I see people put up on Workplace when they get a new listing. What a brilliant thing to do. I talk to the other eXp agents in the area, and we're quick to show each other's houses. And I think that's another great thing that, you're not competing with them. You're building together. We're all building for the same cause.
Yes. You're collaborating. You're working with, you have a community. It's international. And I think that's one of the key elements. And, let's briefly talk about, we haven't talked about this yet. Let's talk about the Icon Award. You hit Icon, by the way, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I mean, that is outstanding. Year one. And I know you're going to get it again this year, but talk about that. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I kind of set that as my goal when I came on board. I wasn't really sure what it meant. I'm going to be dead honest with you. 100%. I wasn't sure what it meant, but having another broker tell me that it would be impossible to do that level of business in this area.
Wow.
It was almost like throwing down the gauntlet because, whenever anybody does, it says, hey, you can't do that. Yeah, you know what? You can. And they said, well, what kind of money would you like to make? And I said, when I gave her the number, she kind of just said, well, no one really makes that kind of money in real estate in this area. Yes. You not only can you should, and you should make more. Now, because a lot of the pitfalls that I had to go through this year, and I went through a couple of physical issues, that I had, and I've spoken to you about those privately, but I went through a couple of issues this year that took me out of the game for probably 2 months out of the year, out of this year. And I was still able to do this. So, you know what? I'm focused. I'm able to really expand. I work with those people that I've sold. I talk to them all the time, even though, we're done, but I keep the relationships open because I don't ask for referrals. One of the big things I never do is I don't ask for referrals.
Mm-hmm.
I ask for help. And when it came to the hedge fund side, when I talked to those people, they helped me build my business. They helped me, if I had a great product and they had a good experience with it, they were quick to share that with other people. The people I work with now do the same thing. So I've had people say, I was told, I should talk to you because you're not like other real estate agents. I'm not. I'm not, because if there are times when I walk into a place and I'll tell them, I hate this place, and I'll tell them if it has too much lattice, I think it has ghosts in it. But that's a whole nother story completely. But I think it's important to really be working constantly. And referrals are one of the most important things in this industry. Right. But if you ask for help, people always want to be part of your success. They want to be able to, say to the person the reason that you got that house is because I told you about him. I had a gentleman straight down the road from where I live. I sold him his house. Wonderful couple. They came to my house for Oktoberfest. They're just great people. They've got really good friends that, that were looking for a house. They immediately called me and said, you've got to help them sell their house. And then you've got to help them find a house. They called me up and they go, we feel like we know you already because we know everything about you. So they knew, they knew about my crazy dogs. They knew about my wife, and they were like, we want to work with you. And that's, you got to build a raving fan base.
You're making a connection. You're bringing value. You're building a relationship. Like you said, you know their kids' names, you know their family, you know their story. You're being relatable. You're building rapport. I love all of that stuff because that's why you're setting yourself apart from the
And I
average
think
person.
too many people don't take the time. You've got to find common ground with people before you sell. I worked with qualified individuals for many, many years. These are 5 million and above in net assets, not including their home. And it's not easy to find relatable avenues with people like that because these are people with like otherworldly problems because they're multimillionaires. They're living in different realms. They're traveling all over the world. And I found that, most of them have some of the same issues. Like the concerns were security. They want to make sure their family's all right. They want to make sure their family's going to be taken care of. They want to make sure that their children are going to be provided for. The education is going to be provided for. We can do the same thing here. You can find common ground with anyone. You really can. Yeah. And as long as, you're able to just open up a little bit and listen. And listening is the biggest thing that I do is I spend time with people and I'll just want to hear what they're looking for, what they're about. And it's amazing because I've walked in and they go, you knew exactly what I wanted. I sold another house up on Shinnecock up here. I knew the one thing that the wife said, she wanted this gigantic fireplace. She said, I want a floor to ceiling fireplace on 2 levels. She goes, but no houses have those. This house came up. I just took a picture of the fireplace, texted her in New York, and I said, here it is. And her husband called me about 5 minutes later, and he said, put an offer in, full price. We want it.
Wow.
It was on the market for 4 hours. We got it.
Because you listen, right? You listen to exactly what the customer's wants and needs are. And that's where you're setting yourself up apart. And I love like what you said about referrals. And I hope everybody got that you're not asking your customers for referrals. You're asking them for help and you're bringing the tremendous amount of value, which therefore they're going to refer you and keenly listening to their wants and needs. I mean, that is such a big thing, right? I think a lot of people get in their head, they get in their own way. They're like, oh my God, how am I going to sell this house? Well, you got to listen. You got to listen to what they're going to give you. Yeah.
I'm going to give you a little credit here because one of the things that I've talked about, because people say, when they hear about eXp, they're like, oh, but isn't that all virtual? Isn't that really tough because you're not really in touch with anybody? I've never in the last year emailed you or texted you and not had a response within 20 minutes, even when you're traveling. And I'm on the East Coast and they're on the West Coast. And Neil and Leo are so quick to respond to me. And most of the time I'm like, oh, they probably think, oh God, what does he want now? But you guys always are quick to answer. And that's kind of how we have to be with our clients. We have to be that always. We have to be that person. I've got 3 guys that are looking through the Chase Home Story. These are 3 guys that are looking for a hunting area. Like they want a house with a lot of property. And I get the message at 11 o'clock. I respond to it. It's at night. And I start responding back and I do a search for them. And it's all in the middle of the night. And then the next couple of days later, I get and they go, you know what? No matter what we do, we're going to buy through you because you're the only person in the world who answers us whenever we ask questions. Right. And you answer all the time.
That's it. You got to be available. I mean, it's kind of, I share that with a lot of people. If you have a tire blown out and your content, you need to get that tire. Like when you need the service,
you need to fix now.
Yeah, you need to fix it now.
And if it doesn't get done, you know what's going to happen? You're going to go, I can't rely on that. I can't rely on that person.
Yeah.
And that's, we're only as good as, we used to always say in my old business, you're only as good as your last trade. Here, you're only as good as your last sale. You're only as good as that last conversation. And what was the taste that you left in their mouth when you got off the phone with them? Did they think, I never want to work with this person again? Did this person really care? If you take the time, if you spend a little extra time just getting to know them. Now, I did a lot of body language stuff in my previous life, nonverbal sales skills, because you'd be amazed when you'd watch people. We would always have, when we would do a big meeting, you'd have one person doing the speaking and one watching the crowd just to see responses. Anybody covering their mouth, just any kind of reaction that you
Dozing
can,
off or something.
and you
Yeah.
can simply say, hey, you know what? I know we were just talking about this. Can you expand upon that?
Mm,
Because any going to the mouth or covering anything like that shows that you're not sure, you disbelief. So you want to
mm.
expand on it. So we would do a lot of that. When we walk into a house, you want to know if the person's an introvert, an extrovert, and how to deal with them. An extrovert, you go head on, you go right at them. Leo, you're a complete extrovert. I am as well. You
Yeah.
you talk to them face to face. You don't hesitate. Sometimes
Yeah.
you get those introverts. How do you want to approach them? You want to come from the side. Actually, it's something as simple as that. You don't want to invade their space. You want to come in from the side, and you want to point things out. You don't want to just shout things out like you would with an
Yeah.
extrovert. So little
Exactly.
things like that, or how they look at a house. You want to look at pelvic tilt. You want to look at all this other crazy stuff that really shows whether a person's interested. I can tell when I walk into a house if somebody wants it or doesn't want it immediately, or if
Yeah.
I give them a price and what I think their house should sell for, I know immediately if I'm going to get the listing, because if they don't think if they don't think it's high enough, the body
Yeah.
language is so obvious. And for those people who don't see that and keep pressing on
Mm.
and bulldozing over, you wonder why, and you see why
Wow.
their business stalls.
Wow. 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 Man, I'm gonna have you come and teach a class about just that subject, man. We'll
It's such an
definitely.
it's
Yeah.
such an important thing that people
Yeah.
miss, and there's some people who do it intuitively,
Yep.
and most good agents do it intuitively, but a lot of it can be learned.
It could be learned.
You
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just having the awareness, and you can see the cues, the subtle cues. So as we're coming to a close here,
Mhm.
again, 40 families, you've hit icon. For those of you that don't understand what icon means, that means that Robert has gained an award from eXp of $16,000 in stock, which is amazing, right? And that means that he's basically at 100% plus with our company. And I'm curious, I want to know as we're closing, what's next for Robert? What are you going to create in 2023? We talked a little bit about
Yep.
expansion, right? Talked about that.
You know what? And expansion is the key, because I think this year is going to be. I want to share what I know and what I can do with others, because why not take that next step? Why be why be average when you can be well above average?
Mhm,
Why accept when you can just take? And
mhm.
you want to go after things. I like people who are aggressive. I think that's an important part of your career. I want to find some like-minded individuals, no matter where they are, and bring them in and have them become part of this team. Have them, the access to you guys out in California, the access to everything that we have right at eXp that's just given to you. That's literally just given to you. Plus, I offer 30 plus years of experience in sales,
Yeah.
where just where I'm happy to, and now I understand all our paperwork too. So I offer that as well, because
Yeah.
that to me is the worst part, because I was always used to going out and closing deals and just having somebody
Leverage.
else take care of the paperwork.
Yep.
Now I do everything myself. What I want to do is I want to actually expand that team. I want to grow. As EXP is growing, I want to grow with them. I see this as a company that I want to be with for many, many years. I've had multiple offers in the last few weeks. I call you pretty much and tell you every time
Yeah.
that I'm hearing from other agencies, and they're like, "We want you to join us. We want you to
Yeah.
do what you
Of
do."
course.
But you know what? Why not become part of us here? Why not? I want to expand my reach globally. I think there's a lot more I can do,
Oh my
and
God. Yeah.
with all the help that you guys have given me, I want to share that with others.
Yes, thank you so much, man. I mean, it's a privilege, it's an honor. I'm extremely grateful to be in business with you. And from the moment that I met you, a little over a year ago, I told Neil,
Mhm.
I'm like, I love Robert, and that's why when you message me anytime, I respond to you, just because you're always bringing value, man. Your energy is like outstanding. Every time I talk to you, I get energized,
Well,
and
and it's you know what, everything that we do, you realize, like I said, it was a very collegiate atmosphere here.
yep,
When I started at Morgan Stanley a million years ago, I always thought it was the greatest place I had ever worked, because everybody was working towards a common goal, just doing the right thing for people and growing. And we were growing at such an explosive rate. What happened there, the problem was that people from above saw how good we were doing, and everybody wanted to own that. So what they did was they all took it over, and they got rid of all the people that built it to the way it was.
and the magic and
Here,
the essence of it. Yeah,
right. And they lost the essence of it, and we lost everything we had worked for. But here, the nice thing is, this is all owned by all of us. This is
yeah,
something that we can continue on for as long as we want to do this. And the nice thing about real estate is you can do it for a very long time. And as long as you've got the energy to get up in the morning and get out there and do this, you're going to be successful. and I'll do everything in my power to help anybody be successful.
Oh,
And so I
100%.
think that it's one of the things that we share in common, and I think it's something that we can all do to make this an even better place than it already is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Robert. And for those of you
Thank
that
you.
don't follow Robert on Facebook, LinkedIn, make sure you connect with them. If you guys need any help out in Pennsylvania, referrals, this guy understands commercial, residential. Make sure you guys contact Robert. He'll be more than happy to take care of you. Also, if you're a real estate agent, or if you know an extraordinary real estate agent, make sure you connect with Robert again. He has extraordinary teachings, body language, working with referrals, building a business, paperwork, all the aspects of it. So from my perspective, man, I think this has been a tremendous interview. I really, truly
Thank you,
appreciate your time. Let's go out there and crush it. 2023 is going to be another amazing year, man. You're going to hit icon.
Yes,
I already know it.
You know what? Let's keep it going. Let's grow, as you always say.
Let's
grow.
grow. Exactly. All right, man. Sounds good,
Thank
brother.
you very much.
Thank you. All righty. Cool.